is brought to you by Head Start Basketball.
We're talking to some kids. I'm like, poor kid in the projects. My mom raised us on $400 a month. I'm involved in a professional basketball organization. It's like you got to pinch yourself because I've been blessed along the way.
Terry Awls is the general manager of the Glass City Wranglers, an affiliate professional basketball franchise of the Basketball Super League. Awls also serves as the director of basketball and recruiting for Hopson Elite, an AAU program based in Toledo, Ohio. TJ previously served on the Lourdes University men's basketball staff and as the state director in Ohio for U.S. Amateur Basketball, one of the largest travel AAU associations in the country. Are you or an athlete you know planning to go D3? Check out the D3 recruiting playbook from D3 Direct. Their playbook gives you a clear step-by-step roadmap to the recruiting process, what coaches value, key milestones from early high school through application season, and how to build a targeted list of schools that fit your needs. The playbook demystifies researching D3 programs and how to stand out without chasing every camp or showcase. The modules cover things like writing emails to coaches, building an effective highlight tape, using social media well, planning camps and visits, and navigating application strategy. You'll get templates, checklists, and an outreach plan to communicate confidently, learn how to compare financial packages, and avoid common missteps. By the end, you'll have a prioritized school list and a decision framework you can use to land your best fit opportunity. Click on the link in the show notes to get your D3 recruiting playbook from D3 Direct.
Hi, this is Jason Harris, men's basketball coach at UMass Boston, and you're listening to the Hoop Heads podcast.
Give with Hoops is the first platform turning basketball analytics into fundraising impact. Every stat tells a story, and now every story drives sponsorship, engagement, and team growth. Programs nationwide are transforming basketball stats into funding power. Learn to use performance data to attract sponsors, engage fans, and raise more with every play. Give with Hoops will help you raise 3 times more money for your program as their stat-based pledges consistently outperform traditional fundraisers. Visit givewithhoops.com/hoop-heads-podcast to learn more and take your fundraising to the next level. Give with Hoops. Jot down some notes as you listen to this episode with Terry Awls, General Manager for the Glass City Wranglers and Director of Basketball and Recruiting for Hopson Elite AAU Basketball. Hello and welcome to the Hoop Heads Podcast. It's Mike Linsing here without my co-host Jason Sunkle tonight, but I am pleased to welcome back to the Hoop Heads Pod for his second appearance.
Yes.
Terry, TJ Awls. TJ, welcome back, man.
Hey, how's it going? I'm pretty excited to be back on the show. So yeah, thanks again for having me. I'm trying to decide if I want glasses on or glasses off. So there we go.
There you go. I always I can't see anything. If I'm looking at you there, I would just see like this big blob. I wouldn't see anything. So if I'm gonna see whether you're smiling or frowning at me, I got to make sure that I could see with the glasses.
Gotcha.
It's always a challenge. That's how I know I'm getting old. That and my gray beard are the two things, man, that are tipping me off. I'm like, good thing I feel young though. That's what it's all about.
It's good. Yeah.
Let's start out by going back to what you've been up to since you last came on the show. We talked before about kind of your role in AAU basketball and the things that you were doing there. And now you're getting into some professional basketball with the Glass City Wranglers there in the city of Toledo. You're still doing your Hopson Elite stuff. So just kind of give us an update on where you're at, what you've been up to for the last year or two.
Yeah, so last time we talked, I was working with Dennis Hopson as assistant basketball coach at Lourdes University. Come full circle, 2.5 years later, I'm still working with Dennis Hopson, but I stopped coaching and I got into the administrative role. So I'm the director of basketball operations for Hopson Elite, and I oversee all the recruiting. And then I got asked to be an assistant coach at Glass City Wranglers, which is Toledo, Ohio's pro basketball team. I got that job last year, and well, I'll talk about our year last year to this year, but I was like, okay, if I come back, I want to be behind the scenes if I can be behind the scenes, and kind of want to make an impact that way. So the owner says, how about you become GM? And I was thinking more of a scout or something like that. He said, yeah, you got a great love for the city. You got great connections. We'd love you to take a bigger role. And I'm like, so first thing I did, I if anybody's married out there, I talked to my wife. Hey, what do you think? I got three boys, and I think I'm missing it to my boys. Hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, it's been the last 2 years from assistant coach to GM. Obviously, two different roles, two different perspectives of how I view pro basketball. But it's been a great ride. I gotta give a huge shout out to Josh and Jess. For taking a chance on me. And so I'm trying to make that chance pay off.
So I'm guessing, and I think we're going to talk about obviously both roles with Hopson Elite and with the Glass City Wranglers. But I see to me, it feels like there's a natural connection between being the director of recruiting for a high level AAU program and then being a GM for a professional basketball team, which is in essence being able to scout and recruit and get guys to be able to come into your program. So let's start with Hopson Elite and talk to me about your role there and what it means, director of recruiting. How do you go about identifying the kids that you want to try to bring into the program? What does that look like?
We look at kids that want to play in college, just like I did unofficially when I was coaching. We look at kids that want to play in college. We get kids from Indiana, from Michigan, from Ohio. The last 6 years, Mike, we put 45 plus kids in college programs. We've got three of our guys that are actually playing in pros overseas, playing professional basketball. And then I oversee all their recruiting when they set up visits or stuff like that. We put in about 80 hours per kid when it comes to recruiting. And so it's pretty intense. And we got a new coaching staff that we're rolling over. So that's a huge learning experience for these guys, because a lot of these guys think coaching at the AAU level is just coaching, and it's a lot of administrative work. We put together a board of directors, which has been fantastic. We got an amazing board. So we're doing a lot of good things for Hopson Elite that will affect a lot of kids for the future to come. We started a girls program, which is led by Tiffany Blackman, who's a phenomenal, I can't say women's or men's coach. She's a phenomenal coach. And Dennis has given us his blessing. And we've got, like I said, we got a fantastic board that really supports us through every aspect of the AAU spectrum.
How has the current landscape of college basketball, with the NIL piece of it, obviously the portal impacting how high school players are being recruited, or even if high school basketball players are being recruited in some cases. And then you have sort of the rise. I've been talking to a lot of college coaches, and they've told me kind of the rise of the player agent and
Yeah.
those agents being able to have an impact and negotiate. I mean, I've had college coaches say, I don't really even talk to the kid's family anymore or talk to the kid very much. I'm a lot of times just talking to the agent. So what are you seeing from the administrative side of AAU? How have things changed? How are you guys continuing to try to have a positive impact on the kids that are in your program and help them to reach the goals that they have to play at the next level?
Well, so we were smart in getting people on our board. So I have a NIL certification. I went through it with my son plays football at Iowa State. So he went in the transfer portal. So I was able to experience that firsthand from the football side of it. But we have an NIL attorney on our board. So we actually have a huge insight and try to help parents negotiate that. One of our kids, his name is Steven Wiederhold. He's got 2 NIL offers. Where he gets services and stuff like that. So he's a freshman, and plays up on our 16U team. So what we try and do is just educate the parents, because a lot of parents don't know. And we obviously in AAU, it's amazing how unethical some of these guys are, especially in our area, which is ridiculous. There's enough to go around, but they try and, well, we can do this for you, we can do that for you. And my argument to them is like, ask them how many kids they put in college in the last 5 to 6 years. And that just kind of shuts that conversation down. But the NIL has made it almost like a pay to play. And a lot of parents are, I've got a friend who coaches down at the Villages in Florida, and they got high school kids making $75,000 a year in high school. NIL. I know some of the stuff that my son went through from going to Toledo to Iowa State. My son has an agent. I have an agent. But it's great to have an NIL attorney on our board to kind of help us navigate through these pitfalls, because we got a really dynamic 8th grade girls team with a couple of girls that are really, really will easily play at the D1 level. So their scouts already looking around. Hey, and so we try and manage it as best we can. And the parents, I would say 90% of the parents trust us with this because we've been doing it for so long. Some of the parents think they know better than us, and they haven't. And well, I'm going to take my son to go play here. We've had kids quit in the middle of the season that have been with us for 3 or 4 years because somebody said that they could do something better for them. And so it's amazing how the lack of loyalty, it really shows up in this day and age now.
I think the biggest thing that you said right there is parent education. And I think you can take that across the board in so many different directions.
Yeah.
Start out, the simplest idea to me of parent education is understanding what makes for a good AAU program, a good AAU coach, and a good AAU experience. What are you trying to get out of it? So many parents are chasing, like you said, somebody says this or that, or maybe a team, whatever, has won this tournament, but again, maybe you're on a 12-person team where you're the 12th player and you're only going to get 2 minutes a game. Well, that's not going to help you. Even if your team is winning a lot of games, you're not going to get any better. You're not being developed, all those kinds of things. So I think that's number one. And then the second part goes to more of what you were talking about, which is you need to have an AAU club that has some experience with helping kids to get to that next level, right?
Yeah.
And having relationships. So much of, I think, being a good AAU coach is the relationships that you've developed with schools, so that when schools either reach out to the coach, or you as the AAU coach proactively reaching out to schools and coaches that you have a relationship with about a particular kid, those relationships are invaluable. And it's so easy and I think this goes across the board in the basketball world, TJ, that how many people do you know that just hang out a shingle and say, I'm a basketball trainer, I'm an AAU coach, this is my AAU program, I'm an agent, all these different things, right? That people can just be like, hey, I'm putting up my shingle, I'm building a website, I'm going and I'm talking to people and telling them I'm this and that. And I do think that the parent education piece is huge, helping parents to understand what makes for a good program, a good experience for their kid that's going to help them to reach their goals in the game and then consequently in life. But it's hard because there's so much misinformation. As you said, unfortunately, there is bad actors out there.
Yeah, Mike, I tell you, the one thing that we tell parents all the time, if we're using your kids just for basketball, don't come to our program, because we've got mental health coaches, we've got tutors, we have professional shooting coaches. They have access to chiropractors. They've got access to different things. I mean, we had a sponsorship with Enterprise, with Delta, all those things to kind of help you do that. And the goal was to make them better people. I talk about on the boy side. We want your son to he's going to be a husband someday or a father someday, and the girl's a mom someday or a wife someday. We want them to be better people. That's what if we use a kid for basketball, I don't want to do it. And a lot of these, and I'll call these guys out in our area. A lot of these guys in our area do that. And it's so sad. They could care less if the kid goes to college or anything like that. They don't put that investment in. I can pick up the phone and call Howard University. I can call UFCF. I got connections with friends at Duke. I got connections. I mean, and then Dennis has a wider reach, Ohio State and all those. I mean, we've got access to 500 plus coaches that we can pick up the phone and call from D1, D2, D3, NAIA. And we have a good following because we have name recognition. And I think that helps a lot. But again, I mean, you touched on coaching. We've had some serious hiccups in the last couple of years with some of our coaching. So we're addressing that from the board standpoint to make sure we get guys that are qualified, that know what they're doing, that are USA Gold certified. We want to make sure they know what they're doing. Everybody can't coach. Everybody that says, this isn't CYO, where we don't, not every kid gets a trophy. But you got to understand how to manage kids, manage games, how to coach, how to be strategic, have a practice plan, have a game plan, all those things. And we've had some growing pains, I'll tell you, in the last couple of years with that. So we're getting back to what we've done when I was coaching, and so it's the goal is to make us a better program, not to us to kind of recess and be on the slide. And some programs are kind of taking advantage of that. Well, they're not as good as they used to be, but the rumors of our demise are greatly exaggerated. So there you go.
Well, here's what I will say. I think that anybody who runs any kind of a basketball organization knows and understands what you just talked about in terms of being able to find good quality coaches who are in it for the right reasons and who are able to do the things that you just described. It's never easy. Everybody thinks they're a coach until they actually have to coach.
Yeah.
And then they find out very quickly that it's a lot harder job than what they think it might be. And I'll tell you that one of the things that whenever I talk to parents, and I end up usually talking to parents of kids just because of the camps and the things that I run, I'm a lot of times talking to parents of elementary school kids, maybe middle school, that age more so than the high school kids. But I'll have parents come to me all the time and ask me, hey, what about this AAU program, or what should I be looking for? Or I got an opportunity to attend this tryout and that tryout and that tryout. What do you think? And I'm always like, look, the organization is very important, right? It's probably more important as you get older because of the connections that you described earlier if you want to play in college. But I always tell people, look, the most important thing that you can make a decision based upon is who is the coach of that team. Because if you have a coach of that team who is going to do a great job, who's going to develop your son or daughter, who cares about them as more than just a basketball player like you talked about, but actually cares about their life and who they are and all these kinds of things, then you're going to have a good experience.
Like that's the building that relationship is really important. Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So many coaches or so many parents, I think, sometimes chase, oh, this is the biggest organization in our area, or this is the organization that does the most advertising on social media, or
it's a shoe team,
whatever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Or they got one really good team, and then they got 25 teams that are just collecting people's checks. And I'm always like, you got to find the right coach that's going to help your kid to develop, and they're going to coach their team like a real team. And when you find that, then you're going to end up having a really good AAU experience. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't find that because, again, going back to what we talked about a second ago, they don't have the necessary understanding. They haven't gone through and understood the parent education part of knowing what to look for. And then they end up kind of getting burned by it. So I think when you have people that are doing it right, like what you and Dennis are trying to do and do right by kids, that's ultimately where we start to make a change, where we have more kids getting a positive experience out of AAU basketball. And to me, again, I come back to everything that I try to espouse on what we do here on the pod and what I talk about. And the people I try to bring on are people who I think are having a positive impact on the world of basketball. And ultimately, that to me is what it's all about.
No, I appreciate that. I don't know if you heard on social media, Dennis is the new head coach of Polytech in Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, good for him.
So he's back to coaching college basketball. So we're gonna keep everything running. He'll be here a few times a year and check in, but with the board, it sets us up for a really great future for the organization. So I'm really happy about it.
Perfect. All right, let's jump to the Glass City Wranglers, and let's start by just giving people an idea of the history of the team, where you guys play in terms of the league. Just give people the big, high level picture of what this is, and then we'll kind of dive into the nitty gritty of your role and how you got involved.
So Glass City Wranglers is a professional basketball team. Our guys have contracts. They get paid. It's kind of along the lines of if anybody knows about the Toledo Mud Hens or the Walleye, those guys get called up. We had one of our players second week of the season get called over to league in Argentina. So some of our guys, we have a 12-team roster. 5 or 6 of those guys are going to go play overseas. So it's high-level basketball. Last year, we won 2 games. The 2 games we won, Mike, was the team that won the league. This year we went to the TBL, which is a big league. Big Baller brand is involved in it. It's a 32 team league, so it goes from East Coast all the way to West Coast out in Vegas. Really competitive play. We were fortunate to get a lot of good sponsors. Play at the Glass City Center. Made the playoffs this year. So going from 2 wins to making the playoffs as a 4 seed was really big for our organization. Like I said, Jess and Josh Ratkin were just unbelievable to work with, and we got a lot of good people that are in the organization that are phenomenal to work with. We had a professional dance team this year. The young lady that oversaw our dance team used to dance for the Pistons. So we brought that atmosphere of family fun entertainment to the Glass City Center, and fans were very appreciative. A little bit of my role from coach last year, sitting on the bench and not being able to make an impact on the game as an assistant coach, really kind of like I don't like losing. So my thing, it really bothered me only winning 2 games. So this year is this role. I mean, I was strategic on how I gave advice and who we should get. And the owner and I have a really good rapport and really good relationship. We brought in a first-year head coach, had never been a head coach at this level. He was an assistant a couple years before. And again, helping him grow as a coach. He had some learning pains, some growing pains with that. But I'm really happy where the organization is positioned for the future. We have a chance to really be an impact in our city to get to that Mud Hens level and to the Walleye level with a lot of fan engagement. So yeah, I'm year 2 down, going into year 3. So we're already starting for year 3. So super excited.
How do you get involved in the first place? Where do you make the connection between what you're doing before at Lourdes and with AAU into this opportunity?
So somebody called me and said, because I had stepped down from Hopson Elite and I was 2 years removed from it. And somebody said, hey, we're looking for an assistant coach. Somebody said, we call Terry Awls, see if he's interested. And I'm like, I get the call. I'm like, Freddie Zamora was the guy that I called. He was the head coach at the time. Say, hey, I don't know if you're done coaching, but would love to have you as assistant coach. And obviously he had checked my background and my resume and all that stuff. And I'm like, coach at the pro league. Wow. I mean, so I got grade school check, junior high check, high school check, AAU check, college check, pro. So it checked all the boxes for me. So I was like, that's my dream to be able to get into something like that. So gave me a chance and gave me a shot to, we played in Canada and played in some really good arenas. And I learned a lot my first year. I learned a lot this year, transitioning from the coaching role to the GM role. I opened my mouth a little more this year, Mike. And some things that I didn't like, some things I did like. But I'll tell you, I'm blessed. I can't imagine from where I came from or where I grew up at to be able to do something like this. And I tell kids, we're talking to some kids, I'm like, for a poor kid in the projects, my mom raised us on $400 a month. I'm involved in a professional basketball organization. I mean, it's like you got to pinch yourself because I've been blessed along the way.
It goes to show you that there are so many ways, if you love the game, that there are so many avenues that you can take to stay involved in the game or to make it a profession. And I think that's something that not a lot of people understand when they're young, right? Is everybody thinks, well, I got one path, right? I got to make the NBA. That's what everybody's dream is when you're 10 years old, that if I'm going to be in basketball as an adult, that's what I have to do. And the reality is that there's so many other different ways that if you love the game that you can stay involved in it.
There is that, and I'll go back to even college. A lot with the AAU stuff. A lot of parents think their kids are D1 kids. Every kid's not a D1 kid. And that's okay. When I was at Lourdes, we had D1 players that played NAIA for us. My son won a national championship at Trine University. It's a D3. They got the same watch, the same trophy, and he's a national champion. You can't take that away from him. So I mean, it's amazing. a lot of these parents try and live through their kids way too much. And it's just sad. Let the kid be a kid. Let them grow. Let them learn. Let them fail, and let them learn from that. Teach them that lesson. Not win at all costs. That's the thing that's wrong with our society, and it translates to the college. And some of these guys from pros, it's translated over to the pro level. I mean, which is ridiculous. We're not going to pay you and put up with your mess. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
It's interesting just to think about what you just said, because my son's playing Division III at Ohio Wesleyan right now.
Oh yeah,
And
oh yeah.
I think about, and I think about his experience, and I think about me playing at Kent State again a long time ago, but Division I experience, Division III experience. I think about what he goes through, what I went through, what I got an opportunity to experience, what he gets an opportunity to experience. And ultimately, you made a great point about trying to help people to understand that there's all different levels of where you can play. You can have a
Absolutely.
great experience at any of them. And I look at it and I say, sitting here today as a 56-year-old man, what did I get out of my experience as a player? And I played in 110 college games. I'm lucky maybe if I have memories of 10 of them, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
People be like, "Hey, people will say to me, "Hey, do you remember that game you played against OU when you were a junior?" I'm like, "I don't know. I played OU 9 or 10 times during my career. I don't, I'm like, I don't remember the details of every game, but I do remember the locker rooms and the trips and
yeah.
all those kinds of things." And so ultimately what I've come to realize is, sure, we all want to be able to help our kids, or if we're a coach, we want to be able to help our players to be able to excel, right, and reach their potential. That's kind of what we want to try to help them to do. But ultimately, I've come to the conclusion that it's the experiences
Nothing
that you
beats it.
have in the game that ultimately are the thing that have the greatest impact on your life. And the day to day, the wins and losses, all that stuff, it kind of fades away. But the things that you learned as a part of it really are, I think, what you carry with you. And so to hear you talk about, again, just helping guys at every level, right? You've done it at the grade school level. Now you've done it at the pro level to help people understand what the game is all about. And ultimately, what are you trying to accomplish within the game? And I just think that that's a perspective that you don't hear all the time. Unfortunately, people are so focused on, I got to get to the next thing. Like if I'm a high school player, I got to get to the D1 level. If I'm a D1 player, I got to try to maximize the amount of NIL money I'm making. If I'm a pro player, I got to get this next contract, or I got to get so many points per game or whatever. And it's, you got to stop and realize that it's also about the experience as well.
Be in the moment and understand. I love it. Like, one of my former players, I coach AAU. He's a dad now. He's a husband, and so he's going to dental school. He took me and him. He's best friends with my son Cameron. Took me out to lunch, and I'm like, he said, Coach Awls, I'm so proud of everything you taught me. And so those things, he's 24 years old, and like he remembers back when 17, he's 16 when he played AAU. And I learned that from talking to Coach K, building relationships. That's all that matters. I've got players that have texted me happy Father's Day, happy birthday, and stuff like that. That I've been coaching 10 years, Mike. And it's like, it means so much. And I was like, okay. And if you can have an impact on that kid's life, I mean, I think I talked about this last time. I mean, that is worth more than the wins and losses easily. And we've had some amazing teams, but the fact that you turn out productive young men and their parents are like, hey, we appreciate everything you've done for him. And, so it means a lot to be able to impact that kid's life. Now they're grown up, they're taller than me now. And so, I mean, they were probably taller than me then, but I mean, it's amazing to be able to have that impact.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, again, ultimately, I say this all the time, that the privilege of being able to use basketball is something that you love, something that I love, to
Yep.
be able to have that kind of impact, to have somebody come back and take you out to lunch. Or I always say that the best thing that happens is when you get the phone call and on the other end of the line, you hear, "Hey, coach, there's nothing better." And I'll give you a great story, Terry. So my daughter's playing AAU basketball and we're at a tournament and walking around and getting ready for the next game. And I see a kid that played for me when I was coaching at Richmond Heights, and I haven't seen him for a while. He worked my basketball camp for a year or two after he had graduated and whatever. And I probably haven't seen him in, I don't know, 10 years maybe. And I'm walking by and I look and I'm like, I want to cook. And he turns around and he looks at me and he comes over and gives me the biggest
Yeah.
adult hug I've ever gotten
Yeah.
in my entire life. And he's just squeezing me and like,
That's
he's
that's
not
love,
telling
man.
me
That's
no.
love.
Yeah.
That
He's
that
not like,
that's
yo, like
impactful right there. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, this is what, like this is what you do, why you do it is for that. Cause again, and I don't know exactly what the impact was, and I don't know exactly what his thought process is about what kind of impact I had on him or didn't, but I can tell you what, whatever it
It was
was
positive.
selfless.
It was
And you
positive.
don't get that reaction. Yeah, you don't get that
Absolutely
reaction
not.
from other
Because
people.
he could have been like, dude, don't. The fact that
Exactly.
he did that shows that you made a connection in his life that goes beyond basketball.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump back to Glass City.
All right.
Tell me about it as a GM in your role. What's the biggest thing? What's the number one bullet point on your job description?
Sponsorships. Sponsorships because we have jersey sponsorships, we got floor sponsorships. That's the thing. So, and what that does, it keeps us relevant within the city. We've had some amazing sponsors. Oh my gosh! To me, that was the biggest thing I had to learn. But I already had connections with people like that in the city. It's essentially so my boss. So I just turned into a professional beggar. But to be able to just sit down across from people that write $15,000, $20,000 checks, that shows you that they believe in you. They believe in what you're doing. They believe in the process. They believe in what we do to represent the city. That's probably number one. Number two, I think just obviously players. Whether you bring in local players and whether you draft a couple rookies. There's an actual draft for the TBL, so we actually do a draft. We had two rookies this year. One actually played for me at Lourdes with Dennis. Kendall Perkins, really good rookie. Another rookie, Kevin Sorrells, had a really good rookie year. All these guys played in college. We had a big 7-footer that played at Tulsa that played for us. And so to just be able to bring all these guys together, I think our first year, I would call it a success with an asterisk because we had some, obviously being in a pro organization, we had some hiccups where the chemistry wasn't there. I'm not passing him the ball and stuff like that. I'm like, guys, the only stat that matters is winning. Only stat that matters is winning. I mean, and these guys are, and that's the thing that kind of took away from what we could have been. The selfishness started to creep in towards the end of the season as we were headed to the playoffs. And I was a little bit disappointed because if you're a pro, be a pro. Be a pro. I mean, you don't talk about your paycheck. You don't talk about this. If you're taking bad shots and a teammate calls you out, be accountable because if he does it, you're going to call him out. And so that's the one thing. And being able to deal with grown men that are getting paid to play a sport that they love, it's a different mindset to it, Mike. It really is.
Do you think that a lot of that quote unquote the selfishness piece of it, do you think that comes from guys who are scrapping and seeing or thinking in the back of their mind, like I have to do X, Y, or Z in order to parlay this into my next contract? And they don't necessarily see, right, the idea that the rising tide lifts all boats of if we're winning, that's going to give us more attention. Here's what's interesting to me,
Yeah.
and tell me if this is the right mindset from you at the level where you're coaching professionally. I think that so often, right, when players are coming up, we teach players from a player development standpoint we want them to be well-rounded, right? When you're working with a kid who's 12, 13, 14 years old, you're trying to give them all the skills, right? You want them to
Right.
be able to handle the ball. You want them to be able to shoot it. You want them to be able to defend. You want them to be able to rebound. By the time you get to the pro level, there are very, very few guys at any level of the game who the coach just hands them the ball and says, "Hey man, go do your thing. You're our straw that stirs the drink." Most guys, especially by the time they get to the pro level, they have to figure out, what is it that I do well? What's my role? And then I've got to play that role ultimately. And especially for guys who want to move up, right, from
Yeah,
your league to
absolutely.
the next opportunity. Like they're probably not going to be good enough where at the next level they're just going to be the do everything guy. They're going to get to the next level because they're a great 3-and-D guy, or maybe they're
Exactly.
an incredible offensive rebounder or whatever. So how do you help to kind of balance that and think about that piece of it?
I think a lot of these guys, and there's a lot of truth to what you said. A lot of these guys have that "I got to get mine" mentality. Like I said, the only stat that matters is winning. So I mean, we had scouts at our games, and obviously our games are televised, and so the one young man that got caught up the second week, he's 6'7", long, can defend, can do it all. He goes to plays in Argentina, and then like I think a lot of these guys don't understand that. I think everything you do is being watched. Especially, we have kids at our games. You're supposed to be that role model. If you're whining when you come out of the game and stuff like that, to me, it's a bad look. And I think a lot of these guys need to learn how to be a professional basketball player. I mean, if you look at the Knicks who won, nobody cared about who scored what. You know who your players are, and I think that a lot of these guys trying to get to that level don't understand that you still got to be coached. And if you can't be coached, or you can't take criticism, or if the coach is telling you something, but you're making, to me, I when it comes to even AAU recruiting, I'm passing, I'm going to the next kid, and the pros the same level. You're not caught. We don't want to lose our jobs. No A or no college coach or no pro coach wants to lose a job. So I'm not taking a guy that's going to cost me a job because he's whining about something. I'm going to go into the next player because that there's nothing like that culture in any organization or program that's going to, now you know exactly if you got, and we've played teams in our league, their culture was horrible. They're talking trash and they're doing this and the fans are bad, and the coaches just stand there. They don't hold them accountable. Any good player worth his salt wants to be held accountable. From grade school, AAU, high school, college, pro, they want to be held accountable. And I think a lot of our society, we kind of dismiss it. Oh, he's just being this, or he's just being that, or don't let that go, because now it perpetuates a cycle. And when your culture is permeated in an organization where everybody's got a me culture, you're never going to win basketball games.
Could not agree with that statement more, right? It's a case of, if you let things go, then even the guys who naturally would do the things that you want that would help you to build a good culture, if you're letting things go with the guys who aren't like that, guess who wants to leave then? Not the guys
Absolutely.
who are doing damage to your culture. It's the guys who are the good culture guys. They don't want to be around it. If they know you're going to let that other stuff go, they don't want to be around that. I mean, I think that's a tremendous lesson for any coach who's listening is, if you let things go, it's not just the damage that you're doing with the player that you're allowing to get away with things. It's the damage you're doing to the guys who have bought in, because they're like, well, you might be preaching this over here on one side.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Letting stuff go.
Yeah.
I just don't think that works. And,
Yeah, they're gonna be like, what? Wait a minute. Well, he came in late. You didn't say anything to him, but you're saying something to me. I mean, and the rules have to apply to everybody. I mean, you talk about the Jordan rules. Michael Jordan was the first one in, last one out, and he understood that if you're not at this level, Kobe had the same mentality. LeBron the same mentality. I mean, if you're a coach and you have a star player and your star player does something wrong, if you don't hold him accountable, I'd rather lose a game than lose my team.
Absolutely.
Just
There's
that
no
simple.
question about that. And I think the thing is that sometimes, especially for young coaches, they find that hard to do, right? They find it hard to hold that young player, that star player accountable, especially in today's world where everybody's transferring, everybody jumps from one AAU program to another, everybody jumps high schools. And so a coach feels like, man, if I get on star player X, before I know it, star player X is going to be suiting up for my rival across the city. But ultimately, the bottom line is that when you let stuff go, then you're going to attract people who want to be in an environment
Yeah.
where stuff is let go. And if
Yeah.
you hold people accountable, you're going to eventually attract the right people who want to be held accountable. And then you're going to have the kind of culture that's going to help you to win. I love that you brought up the Knicks, because I just think, and look, I was rooting for the Spurs in all honesty during the finals, especially after the Cavs had lost to the Knicks.
Yeah.
But after having had a couple days to kind of reflect on what the Knicks did, I really think that they kind of captured, to me, what basketball really should be
Big
about,
time.
in that every guy bought into their role. When one of those guys had a down game or didn't play well, somebody stepped up and filled the void. There was no selfishness.
There
Every
wasn't.
guy was pulling for every other guy on the roster. Mike Brown clearly
Phenomenal job.
confidence. Yeah, confidence in all the guys that he brought in. You think about the difference between, look, Tibbs set the foundation, right, in terms
Yeah.
of the discipline and the hard work and
Yep.
the things that needed to be put in place to have a winning organization. And then Mike Brown just came in and gave the bench guys the confidence to be able to come in and do some of the things that they did in order to be able to help the Knicks win the title. I think that moving forward, I think coaches would be well served to look back at some of the video of that, but also look at the video of the interviews that the Knicks have given since the championship, since the win. Some of the quotes and the things that they've talked about in terms of just how they went about their business. I think there's a lot of coaching gold in some of the stuff that that the Knicks did.
There's a lot of that, and I Mike, I need to give a shout out to my guy Gene Cross, who's a friend of mine. He actually used to coach at the University of Toledo here. He's the director of scouting for the Knicks, so I got to give him a shout out. He's an NBA champion now, so yeah.
That's kudos. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I just think they were phenomenal.
They were.
I kept waiting for them to come back to earth, and they just never did. And
They just
it was a
never quit.
Magical ride.
Oh man, I mean, if you think about where they were 2-3 years ago, Mike, to where they are now, wow. Yeah.
Never would have saw it. Never would
No.
have saw it coming. I mean,
Nope.
never would have saw it coming. Even heading into the postseason, I mean, people thought certainly the East was kind of goofy, and I think people thought that, hey, the Knicks can get to the finals, but not necessarily because the Knicks were great, but more just because the rest of the East was so goofy.
Correct.
Nobody
Yeah.
had any idea what was going to happen. And then, whoever was coming out of the East, I think everybody thought that the Western Conference, myself included,
It's way better. Yeah.
that the West was going to end up winning it, and it's obviously not the way it turned out. And it's just, again, it's a testament to playing basketball the right way. If you share the ball, you're unselfish, you don't care about what your role is, you just do it to the best of your ability, and you compete every single moment you're on the floor. A lot of success can be had that way. TJ.
A lot of
no doubt about that.
Man, you're preaching to the choir. We try and tell some of the guys that play at our level, if you get 5 minutes a game, make those the most impactful 5 minutes you play every single game. So now that 5 minutes turns to 7 minutes. Make that 7 minutes the most impactful. And you don't have to impact the game by scoring, rebounding, passing the ball, getting assists, diving on the floor. And so now you've gone from playing 5 minutes and now you're playing 15, 17 minutes a game, because you've taken that little speck of time and you made it the most impactful. And that's at all levels, AAU, college level, the pro level, whatever time you get, it has to be the best. Okay, for this 2 minutes, I'm going to do everything I can to get 3 minutes. So 3 minutes, and it's got to be a cycle every single time. And parents don't see it that way. Adult men don't see it that way. I'm like, okay, what? And trying to tell parents, well, so-and-so only played the first week of AAU. I'm a reverb, and I'll get back to this. First week of AAU, I got parents calling me, telling me that they want to quit. I'm like, are you serious? It's the first weekend. Well, he didn't play. I'm like, we've got a 10 tournament season, and you're worried about he played 5 minutes one game and 3 minutes. I mean, that boggles my mind. And then we got adults on Glass City, like, well, I only played 7 minutes this game. Well, if you're adjusting to the game, okay, sometimes that requires you just play 7 minutes if we didn't need you, and then you're playing, the 35 minutes because someone who was hurt or somebody didn't do that or somebody, and so you got to understand that. And I think people want it now. That microwave, got to have it now versus, okay, earn your spurs. No pun intended, but
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that. And it's just the secret to winning basketball. It's not really a secret. It's just, it's really hard to get people to buy into it and do it and have everybody on the same page. And I think that's what made the Knicks run so special. And I
Big
think
time.
that's what is going to be something that people are going to refer to. Coaches are going to look at that and cite it as an example again, all up and down different levels. And certainly at your level, it's a lesson that you can pass on
Hmm.
to your guys about, hey, look, like, Cale Bridges wasn't necessarily the leading scorer in the finals, but man, you ask him when that buzzer went off, how good did he feel winning that championship because he did the things that he was supposed to do. And
Nothing beats
you know,
winning.
there's
Yep.
yeah, absolutely nothing beats winning. That's 100%. So talk to me a little bit about the scouting process that you guys go through as you're trying to determine how you want to put together your roster. You talked a little about, hey, you got the draft.
Hmm.
Obviously, if you have a couple local guys that people know and are recognizable, that can draw in some people to get
Absolutely.
people to attend your games. So just talk a little bit about kind of the roster building, scouting piece of your job.
So we kind of built our roster from the inside out, from local, meaning inside out. A couple key local stars that were in high school, stars in college, and built the team around them. Went to the draft and grabbed a couple rookies. We wanted to be longer, faster, to be able to defend all five levels. So we got guys. We had a tryout. Brought in 30 guys and say, okay, like this guy, don't like this guy, like, and so that's how we built it. We added a couple of players during the season that we thought could help us that didn't get signed or left their other team, and that was beneficial to our organization as well. So the year before we had, I don't know, 13 roster changes. This year we only had 3. So my goal was consistency to make sure we were consistent. Our owner was on the same page with that. But again, now we made the playoffs as a 4 seed. Next year, we got to take the next step up, and keeping a core group of our guys. And then obviously, we got a couple guys that said they were going to retire, that are late 20s and stuff like that. So we'll have to replace those guys. But we always want to we want to keep a couple local guys, because like I said, that interest locally draws a lot. But then we'll evaluate, okay, who had an impact on the community. We do a ton of community events. When after the games, kids will come up and sign autographs. Okay, they like this guy, they like that guy, and then we look at their attitude. Every guy gets evaluated on the team, because if you're a cancer to our culture, that you can only do that for so long, and then we're not doing that again. So yeah, that's how we constructed. The draft is held in Indianapolis, so it's a really good league. The TBL is a good league. I gotta give a shout out to them. But yeah, there's we're gonna be back next year better than ever. I mean, if you got some eligibility left, Mike, we'll put a contract in your hand.
I would have loved to have done that back in the day. The opportunity. It's funny, man. Back when I was playing, it was just, again, I'll say this in all honesty. I think that the back when I was playing, you had overseas, you had the 2-player, 2 American limit, and I was a 6'3" non-jumping white guy who could shoot, which they got a lot of those, Terry, over in Europe. So
Yeah.
I don't know that my player type was in huge demand. I went to a couple different little tryouts. I went to one in Cincinnati, and I went to one with the Global Basketball Association,
Okay.
actually in Detroit, and nothing ever really became of it. And so I decided to just kind of move on. But it's interesting again now just how many opportunities there are for guys who have finished their college career to be able to have a chance to continue playing. And look, I say it all the time as an old guy here. There's one of the things that I miss is being able to play the game at a high level. I don't miss playing it in a 56-year-old's body. I can tell you that. But in my mind, I'm still 25, and I could still move and
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah, it's keep playing for as long as you can. Anybody who's out there listening, man, play
man.
play as long as you can.
It's a beautiful game. I still think I'm good in my mind, but I got two bad knees that told me differently. So, but yeah, Mike, I really want to give you a big thanks for all you do, and basketball and community and everything you do. I don't think a lot of people know the leverage and the reach that you have and the things you do. So I personally want to say thanks you, because I see it behind the scenes, and I look at your social media stuff and everything you do. So appreciate everything you do, and Hoopheads, and you guys are doing some good stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that I've always said is like I can never give back to the game what it's given me. Whatever meager contribution I'm making through the podcast, it pales in comparison to what the game has done for me in my life, and so much of what makes the podcast valuable. Sure, I play a role in that, but it's the people that come on like yourself and the coaches that we
Appreciate that.
have as guests that are willing to come on and share. And I always look back to the beginning of the pod when I first started, and I kind of knew that the basketball world was open and that people were willing to share, but I really had no idea the number of people at all the different levels from all over the country and in many cases all over the world, just the willingness of people to share their story, what they love about the game, how they got to where they are, what they do in their role. And to go back to what we said earlier, there's so many different ways that you can be involved in the game if you love it. You got the business side, you've got coaching, but you've got coaching at all different levels, right? There's guys who coach AAU and they love that, right? I'm coaching elementary school AAU, and I just love working with that age of kid. And then you got guys that are Division I that are on TV all the time, and then you got the graduate assistant who's living in somebody's basement on a mattress and making $1,500 for the year and trying to figure out where they're going to eat, but they just love it because they just want to coach. And to me, like, being able to tell all those stories is something that it really means a lot to me, to be able to give people a platform to be able to share, and then consequently for people to be able to listen and hear those stories and hopefully find some inspiration and some knowledge from the people like yourself that come on and share their experiences.
Well, I'll give you a graduate assistant who's got my last name, who I'm super proud of. My son Cameron is now a grad assistant at Defiance College, and I'm obviously he won a national championship, but he loves coaching the game, and he's going to have a really bright career. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard, man. Like, people see the glamour, right? They see the coaches on TV during March Madness, and they see the millions of dollars that coaches are making, and they don't see the guy like your son that's a graduate
It's a
assistant that's
grind.
making nothing and
Yeah,
has to learn and is starting at the bottom. And that's where, again, 98% of the people who end up getting to a high level end up doing it by starting out at the bottom and working their way up and doing the things that, quite honestly, a lot of people aren't willing to do in order to be able to have coaching as a career. And so I give
absolutely.
a lot of credit to those young guys and young gals that are out there grinding to try to make it in the coaching profession. It is, as you well know, it is not easy.
Not easy.
Tell me
No, it's
about
not.
Tell me about you guys playing downtown. And I know originally that you kind of were moving around at different venues. You were at Owens for a while and then at some high schools, and eventually you get an opportunity to go and play downtown. Why has that been so important for you guys as an organization?
So I mean, so playing at a high school level, we weren't able to get sponsorships. They were like, "Well, we're not sponsoring you. You're in a high school gym." At Played at Owens. Again, people weren't interested. I didn't think people took us seriously till, and the organization is going to the 6th year. So they've been around, and Josh has really built it. And Josh has went to different. He went to Bowser High School in this area. He went to another high school in that area. And what he wanted to do was kind of be able to touch all these areas so people get to see who we are. And then when we mentioned that we were going downtown, now the sponsors just started lining up. And so it really built our fan base. I mean, Josh was giving away tickets and people were just throwing them away. Now they got to go online to Ticketmaster and buy tickets. And so it really built our fan base, because I related to like a DJ first starting out. He's handing out tapes. He wants everybody to listen to his music. Then I went to listen. And then when he turns platinum, everybody's like, wait a minute, we got to go see, Josh he was a grinder. And I'm super proud of the fact that he kept the grind, and and is building the organization to another level. The sponsorships have been big for us, but they wouldn't have come if we weren't in the Glass City Center. Huntington Center is a great I would say partner with us. Glass City Center is a beautiful venue to play games in, and you walk in there and it's how they have the seating set up, and now if somebody wants to grab a hot dog or a burger or a beverage or something like that, they can do that. Halftime shows and family fun entertainment, it takes on a different life versus being in a high school gym. You're in a professional arena, and so that setting and the mindset changes drastically.
So when I think of minor league professional sports, whether it's basketball or any other sport, right? I think of the promotion, the things around the game to be able to attract people, to make it a fun night, a fun evening. You talked about having a dance team. You talked about being able to have access to refreshments, two key things
Yeah.
in any fan experience. What are some of the other things that you guys have done promotion wise, in game, halftime stuff to try to draw fans in
So,
besides just the basketball product that
so
you're
we,
putting on
we,
the floor?
we had theme nights. We had country night. We had Michael Jackson night, where we had a young man dress up. We was phenomenal. We had great partnerships with Texas Roadhouse, where they would come there, they bring their armadillo and give out stuff. The theme nights have been really big, rodeo night, and then we do what we did was if you're a veteran or something like that, we did a veteran of the game or something like that to honor those veterans that have served in the armed services, which is really big. A lot of high school engagement. We touch base with a lot of high schools. If you're a high school team, we would invite those guys to the game. We would reach out to certain singers that were coming up and coming. Hey, why don't you come sing the national anthem for us? Those things are really critical in our growth, and we've learned a lot, in this first season. But again, it comes down to partnerships. It really does. Partnerships and being able to be an impact on our community, because we were able to go to different venues, high schools, and different organizations to speak to the kids about what it's like to be a 10-year-old. I've been a 10-year-old. You haven't been me, so this is what you're going to learn along the way. And we've had some impactful guys on our team and our organization that are really going to help us moving forward. But our work's not done yet. I mean, we got restaurants that we were able to partner with that were would feed our team and stuff like that. We have pregame prior to our home games. Hilton Hotel. We'd have if you wanted to be a sponsor, you could do a pregame party at the Hilton Hotel. So Farmers and Merchants Bank and all those great sponsors. Hollywood Casino was a major sponsor, Salinas was a big sponsor, So we've got obviously 2022 sponsors, Mike, that are really we wouldn't be here without them. So I want to thank them all, because I know Josh would say the same thing. We couldn't have had this season without some amazing support along the way.
Yeah, it's great. And I think you made a great point earlier when you said you became the beggar, right? And I think that's one of those things where I think people underestimate how challenging it is to be able to get people to sponsor anything that you're doing. I don't care what, I don't care if it's the Glass City Wranglers, I don't care if it's a high school team, I don't care if it's a basketball camp trying to get people to sponsor t-shirts, whatever it is, going out there and trying to get people to sponsor is always a challenge. And yet when you're able to do that, then as you said, it makes such a huge difference in what you're able to do as an organization to be able to put the product on the floor that you want to put on the floor. Let me ask you about your role as a GM with your coach. How does that relationship work in terms of you two working together to try to put the best product on the floor? What does that working relationship look like?
It was pretty much a 3-person effort. Myself, our owner Josh, and our coach. Ben did a really good job in the first year. Obviously, he learned a lot. Josh and I wanted to see a particular style And we would talk to him after every game, good, bad, or indifferent. I would pick up the phone and call him and be like, "Hey, I don't like this. Maybe we should try this." I tried not to micromanage because I wanted him to kind of develop his own style. But we talked about it at the beginning of the season. This is how we want to play. This is who we want to get. I mean, Josh and I will evaluate him and come back and say, okay, this is what we liked, we didn't like, and kind of put pieces around him to help him succeed. I really tried not to be that, looking over his shoulder every single time. When things were to the point where I didn't like him or Josh didn't like him, we were definitely, I guess, it was kind of tough love at times because we lost to some teams, Mike, that we shouldn't have lost to that didn't make the playoffs, and that to me that was frustrating. I think that starts with the coach. That means we're not prepared, and we didn't scout well, we didn't do something right. If the team's not ready, if you got a team that's below 500 that's coming in and beating you, and you just beat them the week before by 20 plus points, that the coach is responsible for setting the tone of how we're going to attack people. He held himself accountable on all this stuff, and so he's going to get better, and he'll be back better than ever next year.
Yeah, I do think that two-way communication, or in this case, three-way communication, in terms of laying out what the expectations are and figuring that out, and then
Right.
obviously, coach's job is to be able to pass that along to the players with your support and figuring out, hey, this is the kind of team we want to put on the floor. This is what we want it to look like. We want a certain style of play. Obviously, again, attracting fans and attendance. So you want to play a style of basketball that people are going to want to watch and get up and down the floor and that kind of thing, to be able to be an attractive product to compete in the marketplace, right? Because again,
Absolutely.
man, there's so many different entertainment opportunities for people, sports and beyond, that I think that's always a challenge, right? When you're talking about minor league sports, is how do you garner the attention of fans who can go to high school games or go to college games or go to a pro game, whatever it may be. And then that's to say nothing of the things outside of sports that you're trying to do. So it's definitely, I think, key to be able to have a good working relationships among the front office
Yeah.
and your coaching staff. How do you, when you look at your job and you think about what you do day to day, what's the most fun part of what you get to do? Because I think always, right, we think about like, oh man, like this
Yeah.
is so difficult and that, but what's the part that when you're like, okay, I get to do this part today, what puts a smile on your face?
I think being at the games, seeing the fans smile, and I'm walking through. I rarely sit. During the game, I'm sitting for 5 minutes or something like that. Or if my wife comes, I'll talk to her or something like that. But being able to just engage with fans, and I think the thing that helped me this year is that we're winning, so fans are coming to the games. If you're losing, fans aren't coming to the games. No, nobody wants to watch a loser. I don't care what anybody says. But I've talked to so many fans and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I I think half the time they didn't know what the score was, but they had a great time at the game. And that made me smile because man, I was a small part of that, being able to speak to kids at a school and then have that entire school or that grade come to the game and they're holding up signs and doing all this stuff. I mean, that to me, that's like, I pinch myself, Mike. I'm like, that is so cool. So yeah, that's been the most rewarding, and that's the thing where I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like, I use the word blessed all the time because he provides for us, and that's, you talk about a great blessing, and it's like it's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
That's very cool. Do you get feedback from people? I'm just curious. Like this year, I went to a couple of Cleveland Charge games at Public Hall, and you get to sit close. Whereas if you want to sit close at an NBA game and watch professional players, and you want to take your family, you're looking at a pretty hefty financial setback
Yeah.
in your wallet if you
Yes,
want
you
to
are.
go sit 5 or 10 rows up to watch a Cavs game, for example, versus I go to a Charge game, I can get in there for $30 or $40 total as a family. I could sit right there and see the facial expressions
Right.
and realize that the guys who are playing are actual human beings
Yeah.
as opposed to just little dots are the guys that I'm used to seeing on TV. And so I think that, to me, that's one of the biggest attractive things about a more intimate setting.
It is.
You get close to the professional players, where you see them not just as players, kind of like a video game type thing, but they're actual human beings. And I always think that there's tremendous value in that. I don't know if you hear that kind of feedback from fans.
Yeah, so a lot of the floor seats, we had floor seats, which is really neat. Those went to our sponsors, and then obviously me and the owner had floor seats right there. But we were to be able to, if you got people in the stands or general admission, they're 4 rows behind you. And so I made it a point to go up and talk to fans, and Josh made it a point, and we got a great mascot named Buckets, which was very engaging and all that. But to be able to sit on the floor, be able to watch it, I remember my wife and I were first dating years ago. We went to a Pistons game. She flew up from Florida, and it was a Pistons game, and it was $250, Mike. And so that the thing with us, like our tickets are $15 for general admission. And we have some reserve seating that we charge 20 something bucks for. But I mean, you can bring the entire family, and if you're out of $100 because you bought popcorn or something like that, you can do a family of 4 for $100. That's what we want to do. Josh says this all the time: family fun entertainment. That's what we want to do. And that makes us an attractive product. Because now you're not, like you said, you go to a Cavs game, family of 4, parking, food, and all that, $500, $600. I mean, not everybody can afford that. And so now you want to be able to reach people at their level, and that's what we're able to do within our organization. We're able to reach the common person that, I really like basketball, but I can't afford to pay $60, $70 for a ticket. Okay. How about you pay $15 and come watch us, grab some popcorn, grab a soda, and now you can come watch our games.
And you see them as real people.
Yeah.
And you see the facial expression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get to hear them talking and all those kinds of things, and you get to see and hear what the coach is saying. And I think it's a totally different experience. Again,
it's a great experience. Yeah.
A lot of people who are fans of your team probably have gone to high school games and sit close and whatever, but it's still not the same as watching professional players with their size and athleticism and all those things. And again, just to be able to see that up close, I think is something that is really unusual.
Yeah,
when you think about what you guys are building, right? And you have a vision, Josh has a vision for what you hope that this team and this organization can become. Pie in the sky, what's the ideal vision when you get it? And it's never over, obviously, right? Sports is never over. It's always a continuous trying to build and grow,
it's evolving,
rebuild, or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's always changing. But what's the pie in the sky view of what you hope that this can become in its idealized version?
So the Glass City Center sits right in the middle of the Walleye Huntington Center, big arena, Mud Hens Stadium right over there. We want to become that third wheel to where we have our own stadium. We've got the nice locker rooms, and we are. I mean, we're coming off the walleye season is kind of ending, and Mud Hen season is starting. So we got a perfect window to where we can capture our audience. I know downtown Toledo is building a soccer arena. We want to be able to have our own arena and our own gym. To really kind of put our mark on the city of Toledo. And I think city of Toledo needs a professional basketball team. Absolutely. That's the pie in the sky right there.
There we go. That would be, again, you've accomplished it to a degree, and you're going to continue to build it. So let's go with a final 2-part question, which will kind of take us down that road. When you look ahead over the next year or two, what do you see as being the biggest challenge to accomplish that goal that you're talking about? And then second question, what brings you the most joy about the 2 roles that you have right now currently in your professional life with Hopson Elite and with the Wranglers? So your biggest challenge and then your biggest joy.
Our biggest challenge is maintaining a consistency within our organization with players and as well as sponsors. And then being to go back to those sponsors year 2, year 3, year 4, and they're still riding and dying with you. And then building a consistent, our roster. we can't have roster changes that are, 8, 10, 12 players every year. We got to have consistency in our roster. So, if I'm a 5-year-old kid and I grew up watching Mike play, I want to see Mike in year 3 as I get older because, man, he's my favorite player versus, okay, who's coming in next? So building that consistency and then maintaining sponsors and building on our sponsorship. I know next year already we got Susan G. Coleman coming in next year. We got the union coming in, so we're going to do some union stuff. So we've got the trades and all that. So we're super excited about what next year's already bringing. So we're already building on that. The most exciting part about the 2 roles, I get to impact the game of basketball at different levels, from the AAU side to helping these kids get in college. And then some of these kids in college, now I'm bringing over to the pro level. So it's coming full circle. And if you want to go play overseas, okay, we make a phone call here or there. Okay, now we can get you overseas. So it's really birthing their careers. And to me, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, again, impact.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, impact, 2 things that you can do in both of the roles that you
absolutely
have. And like I always say, there is nothing better than being able to do that. And TJ, I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate you, man.
The time out of your schedule to jump on and join us and to educate me and to educate our audience about what you guys are building there in Toledo with the Wranglers. Again, it's always fun to talk AAU basketball with somebody who's in it for the right reasons and doing it the right way. Because as you and I both know, that's not always the case. And I think the more good experiences that we can have out there for families and for players, the better off we are in the basketball space. So kudos to you and Dennis for what you guys are doing with Hopson Elite. And again, thank you for your time tonight.
Appreciate it.
Truly appreciative. And to everyone out there, thanks for listening. And we will catch you on our next episode. Thanks.
Take care.
Your first impression is everything when applying for a new coaching job. A professional coaching portfolio is the tool that highlights your coaching achievements and philosophies, and most of all, helps separate you and your abilities from the other applicants. The Coaching Portfolio Guide is an instructional, membership-based website that helps you develop a personalized portfolio. Each section of the Portfolio Guide provides detailed instructions on how to organize your portfolio in a professional manner. The guide also provides sample documents for each section of your portfolio that you can copy, modify, and add to your personal portfolio. As a Hoopheads Pod listener, you can get your Coaching Portfolio Guide for just $25. Visit coachingportfolioguide.com/hoopheads to learn more.
Thanks for listening to the Hoopheads podcast, presented by Head Start Basketball.